Now I want to talk about the hard way dealing with weeds and the easy way. Now I want to sort of flatten the myth first of all that it's obvious there aren't enough people in the farming community out there because this myth survives, and it survives very well amongst greenies who don't know a cracker about farming usually. The hippies do, but not the modern day greenies. Now basically a lot of people get a lot of fear up about using chemicals, herbicides, pesticides. Oh, I'm going to contaminate the soil, I'm going to poison the groundwater, I'm going to make myself sick, I'm going to make my goats sick, it's going to get in the goat's milk, it's blah, 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 blah. Not really. There is one that was developed many years ago which did do that because it was built to work, and that was it. They didn't think anything more about it. Just make it work, full stop. That was DDT. But the modern day pesticides and herbicides are made to break down to inert substances, i.e. neutral. They don't influence anything, they don't help anything, they don't hinder anything, they're just neutral. And what basically happens is you put these herbicides or pesticides on things, they don't contaminate the place forever. They do their job, but they have a limited life before they break down / decompose into these inert substances. What causes their decomposition sometimes is purely time. Other times is exposure to air or exposure to sunlight. And then that's it, bang, they've had it. Now, with DDT, it did go around and around and around and around in the food chain because it was built to work, but it wasn't built to... They never thought about the after effects. And that would end up getting eaten by your cow, and they'd piss it back out in the ground, and it'd end up in the grass again, and it just went around and around. It was a pain in the butt. Now, as you could imagine with China, being the shonky country it is, they still use it. Stupid. What's even stupider is we've got politicians here talking about having an agricultural free trade agreement with China. What? We're trying to keep bugs out of this country and they're going to do something like that? And then what? The supermarkets are going to stock up the food chains, McDonald's, whoever else, other food chains, Subway, whatever, are going to stock up with a bunch of chilies with DDT on them? Piss off. I don't want that crap anywhere around here. I don't want to be eating it, because that is the nasty one. They also fertilise with raw sewage, which just means there's no composting, there's no breaking down, they don't even put chlorine in it or anything like that. You know, they just bang, straight from sewer pipe, straight onto the paddock with the vegetables in it. And then sell the vegetables. Fantastic. They've got a number of shonky ways of doing things that you would not approve of in the West, because they're a developing country, and when a country is developing, they sort of just go like a bull at the gate to do as much as they can, as quick as they can. And China's a chronic one for doing everything as cheap as they can, regardless of the quality, regardless of the end results. And regardless of how much shit they put in your milk as well. Anyways, enough of a whinge about China. Back to the subject. There are a couple of others that are like this. One of them is fluoropropanate, which attaches itself to the clay in your soil, and that's designed to last for 3 to 5 years intentionally, and basically it has been tested on cattle, and that doesn't have any effect on them and all that. Doesn't get in the milk, doesn't get in the meat, and that's designed to go for 3 to 5 years to kill serrated tussock rather, and it'll continue not to kill this year's, but next year's. And for anything from 3 to 5 years, it's dependent on the amount of clay that's in your soil. If you've got sandy soil, it'll only last for 3 years. If you've got clay soil like I have here, it'll last for 5 years. And it is so damn expensive, exceedingly expensive, prices that you wouldn't believe if you've seen it. I think it's $600 a litre. I mean, that's about a quarter gallon, bit more than a quarter gallon, $600. And, you know, yes, you water it down, but quite drastically water it down. But that, you know, one at the price it's at, you'd sort of want it to last for 3 to 5 years. There's another one that you see all the time in a hardware store, and it's not something that's going to harm you, but it doesn't break down to inert substances. It's weed and feed. It kills your broadleaf weeds on your lawn, and then breaks down to fertiliser, and then your grass gets fertilised with it. Pretty smart the way they've done that. But there's another one that most people don't know about, that is sort of hard to get your hands on, but most people just don't even know of its existence, and that is biological controls. Now, for those of you who grow brassicas, you know, cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, broccolini, kohlrabi, bok choy, wombok, a whole stack of other Chinese greens. You get the picture. You may have realised this. They're all in the brassica family, but you may have realised you get this little white moth flitting around your garden all the time. And if you look closely, you may see little green grubs about that big, and they're almost perfectly the same colour as your broccoli stems will be. And yeah, that's your standard white cabbage moth, or your, you know, associated grub. Now, there is a little wasp that is the size of a mosquito, and it goes and basically stabs into the butt of these grubs and injects its eggs into them. And the eggs hatch inside the grub and eat it from the inside out. And that slows things up quite a bit. You know, but all these things, you got to know what tree you're barking up to be able to get them, because they're very hard to get them and they're sort of expensive. And when you do have them sent, you don't want them sitting in a hot truck all day. You want them, get them straight away. And as soon as you get them, you got to release them, sort of thing. And I'm going to talk about a little case I've got here, which I am going to have a go at using a biological control that I will probably get for free, but I'll have to probably drive quite a distance to even get it. And we'll see how it all goes. I may try and organise, see if I can get it a bit easier, or get someone to bring some down for me or something like that. Possibly get my sister to bring some down, because it's in Queensland and New South Wales. Now, it's a little grey beetle from South America. Now, I'll explain the trouble I've got here. Now, I've got box thorns here on a chronic bloody scale. I've got about 3 acres. Fortunately, the local government isn't worried about it that much. And last year I made a real effort and got into it, and a lot of the local people I found out later actually knew and commented about it, that I'd made a hell of a dent in it. But I want Troy to move in here so he can continue to make a dent on it, and we can wipe the damn stuff completely out within the next year. Well, not completely, but a majority of it. It's not hard to kill, but it's just the fact I've got 3 acres. But anyway, there's something else that's taken to killing it. Actually, 2 things. A number of years ago, for the first year I was here, and this has been happening for about 2.5 years or something now, when I was cleaning the place up and all that, and I think in the first year it wasn't a trouble either. But then I noticed the next year there was a leaf disease, and the leaves would look white, like they're sort of, someone's just been spraying a white spray can around, a bit like sort of, like they're going mouldy. And you go up and you have a look and the mould's not there, it's actually inside of the leaf is going white. There's not mould actually on the leaf. And then you'd see the leaves curling up, and some going big and curling up and going sort of strange. Almost reminds me of that grub that causes the nectarines and peaches and all that, the leaves on them to sort of go bubble up and all that. I forget the name of it now, but anyways, I've seen all these things just bang, drop all their leaves. First of all, the leaves are looking all white and the leaves started falling off. Next year, it was even heavier. To the point that it wasn't some of them falling off and then resprouting. It was the point that the whole plant would just be bang and there wouldn't be a single leaf left in the whole plant, but it managed to work its way back. Often the fruit was only about half size and then it'd come back. So that's some sort of a natural disease that's got into them, and it's really given them a good hammer, and I'm bloody glad, because there's cases around here where I think they're not going to survive. I think it's actually, I'm not going to need to worry about poison. The disease is going to kill it anyway, the leaf disease. But then there's a small area where not only is the leaf disease struck, there's something else that's got onto it. That's Madeira vine has grown over the top of it. Now I really shouldn't even have Madeira vine either. But ways and means here, we've got to let things take their course. What's happening is the boxon's like that, and the Madeira vine's grown over the top of it, and basically just put it all in shade, complete shade. And then the boxon's gone, stuff that, so it's put sprouts through and shoots through the middle of the Madeira vine and grown up above it. And then those shoots, it's grown over the top of them. And now we're on the second lot of shoots that's come up, and then it's gone over the top of them. And it may be trying to do a third lot, I don't know. But what I have noticed is, because the fact it's been so shaded for so long, because the fact this leaf disease is also around, and possibly even the fact that it's expended all its small amount of energy it does have trying to outrun the Madeira vine as well, because it's got no light coming in, but then it's had to expend energy to put more stalks up, which are then being covered again, and possibly even the fact of the weight of the Madeira vine. There's a few boxons that are struggling like hell to survive, and I mean they are within the last 2 inches of their life. And I've gone out there, and there's fruit that's immature. It's only about that big, it's supposed to get about that wide. It's only about half its width is dead. Leaves, oh gosh, I've seen about 2 or 3 sticks about that long with leaves on them, and that's it, the whole plant. So I think the Madeira vine's almost killed it, but I'm going to let it go for a little bit longer until it does kill it altogether. And then when I'm certain it's killed it, I'm going to kill the Madeira vine using biological controls. So I've got one weed to kill another weed, which I'll then use a beetle to kill that weed. Game over. What did I have to do? Take 5 minutes to throw a few beetles out, and that was about it. See, you can do these things real smart. So this little beetle is called Madeira beetle, and he's been brought in from South America, and they tested him. They proposed it and passed the testing for it in 2008 and 2009. Now, in 2010 or 2011, they decided, yes, it wasn't going to go rampant and attack everything else like cane toads have here, or up in the north of Australia. It was a bug that would be beneficial without attacking food crops or anything like that. And in 2010, 2011, she got the stamp of approval, kabang, and it's now out there. And they're basically finding, I'll bet you that it's more on public land than not, and might be some private land, quite a bit of private land as well. But areas that they can't glyphosate or get to easily, like cliff faces and all that, or areas that are big ditches and stuff with Madeira vine in it, they basically say, okay, we're just going to do it the easy way, and they throw beetles on it, and then the beetles lay the eggs on the bottom of the leaf. The larvae come out, and I think 14 days they eat the leaf, and then they crawl down the stem back to the base. I hope to hell they eat the little ground tubers, under the ground the Madeira vine has, because most bug larvae actually go into the ground, and I hope when they're in the ground they tear the hell out of the tubers to stop them continuing on. And then, they come out of the ground as, and turn into beetles and all that, and then they're back eating the flaming leaves again. Either way, I get half a dozen of those beetles, and that Madeira vine's buggered, but I'm waiting for it to kill the boxthorn, so then I can get the beetles and then kill it. and that was it. Throw a few beetles out, and that was it. All the problems taken care of. The only thing I've got to do is get in near the base and cut it with a chainsaw and tow it out, because it's too close to the house to burn, and it's also too close to the water tank to burn without melting the water tank. So I've got to cut the base of that when it's dead, and then hook the blooming tractor chains on and just tow the sod out in the paddock, just a little bit out in the paddock, not too far, and then boom, put a match on it. And we may tow quite a bit out and then compress it with the front end loader if we get the wheel bearing fixed on the front end loader. But this will be a number of years off yet. It'll be about 10 years or so, you know, maybe 2022, 2025, something like that, because I've got to get my other trees to grow up high enough to act as a windbreak before I start tearing out the box thorn, which is currently the windbreak. And then I can also get into some of the dead pines in amongst that and cut them up for firewood. I've found it's actually quite easy to get into one side of it because the box thorn's been so crippled by the leaf disease that it wouldn't be unrealistic for me at all to get in and chop a bit of firewood out now, but it's acting as a bit of windbreak, so I'll leave that most of that area because I've got other dead trees in another area that's down the paddock, and they're on the agenda to be killed first. Well, they're already dead actually, but they're on the agenda to be chopped into firewood first. So yeah, there you go. You can do things the easy way or you can do things the hard way, and I choose the easy way because I'm a lazy bastard.